Hello and welcome to the Literary Lair. Happy New Year, everyone. So, hey, I just made a rudimentary transporter watch, and I want to test it, because I've needed to make escapes really fast, and I've never had the technology to do it. So I'm going to test this baby out. I gotta wind it first, and... What? Oh no. 3, 2, 1. Hey. Hello, so are you evil or anything? Because if we have to get into a fight, I have a review to do. Well, I'm not evil, and you can't do the review without me. How so? I'm your critical side. That's not true. I'm still critical. What did you think of Backwards? Well, it had its flaws, but I liked it. See? Oh my god. Oh god. Can we review the book? And then you go back inside my brain and make me critical and cynical and not backwards liking? Of course. Let's get to work. So let's take a look at the cover. And before we start, I feel that it's pertinent to point out that this was the first Star Trek novel written that wasn't an episode novelization, which was a milestone at the time, and it was also an original creation of the author and not the traditional Trek writers. Right, so the cover's orange, which is an odd choice, and on it there's Spock must die in big letters, followed by James Blish. And then someone found the reflection tool on the DSi camera and used it on Spock. It's also interesting to note that the picture of Spock used has the higher collar that was used in the Corbomite maneuver. Yeah, so let's get to the actual book. So the book opens with McCoy and Scotty arguing over what happens when a person is transported. McCoy asserts that they're destroyed and then cloned. And remember, this book was written 9 years before Star Trek The Motion Picture, where McCoy also doesn't like transporting. Scotty claims that it's impossible because it's a conversion of matter. But McCoy is concerned about immortal souls. Get it? Because if he's right, Starfleet orders the deaths of millions a day. Kirk leaves this existential argument when Spock informs him that the planet Organia has been destroyed and the Federation appears to be at war with the Klingon Empire, which, oddly enough, ties in with another Star Trek series that I want to get to this year. The Enterprise is on the far side of the Klingon Empire, which makes communication difficult and makes for a long trip home. I hope they used the bathroom before they left space dock.
God damn it, Spock. If you and Dr. McCoy can't get along, I am turning this starship around. Do you hear me?
The ship is headed over to the neutral zone on the other side of Klingon space, so Scotty decides to run some experiments with the transporter. He's going to make a tachyon copy of someone, which will clone someone but also allow the person to stay on the Enterprise while some of their particles go elsewhere and report back on what they observe. Because breaking the laws of physics is always something to do in a crisis situation. So they decide to use Spock, since he's the most logical person on the crew. But instead of sending a duplicate to Organia, it sends the duplicate to the transporter pad. The two Vulcans both announce that they're the real Spock. They each declare that the other one has to be destroyed. Kirk agrees, but since he doesn't know which one, and he has to figure out which one is the duplicate and which one's actual Spock. He also has to devise the best plan to change the tide of the war and keep his crew safe while rescuing the Federation, which is pretty much a normal week in Starfleet. To do this, Kirk resists the urge to join the fight and presses on to Organia, months away. Meanwhile, on their long journey, the Klingons are alerted to their presence, and evidence surfaces that one of the Spocks is a Klingon agent, since how else would the Klingons know their position? Spock 1 barricades himself in McCoy's laboratory, refusing to come out unless his assurances are met. The death of Spock 2. Growing weary of the blackmail and trusting neither man, Kirk decides to hold off until they reach Organia. Upon arrival at Organia, though, they learn that the planet has been covered by a field of tachyons that acts as an anti-thought device on a major scale. It imprisons the Organians in their own planet, forcing them to relive visions and nightmares. It is this field and Scotty's previous attempt at penetrating it that created duplicate Spock. When the Enterprise sent its beam toward Organia, it was reflected back upon itself by a true mirror. Therefore, it created a duplicate Mr. Spock in the mirror image. The revelation allows McCoy to come up with the perfect foolproof test to determine which is the real Spock. Make him consume food. McCoy knows that the duplicates' insides would be mirror, meaning the normal amino acids for a traditional Vulcan would be like poison to him, and would determine which one's the real Spock. He figures that Spock 1, who has barricaded himself in the lab, is the false Spock, since the lab has the tech to create the mirror amino acids that he needs to survive. He's about to tell Kirk when Spock 1 steals a shuttle and flies off in a shuttle that has warp capability. So I'm pretty sure this is the evil one. Kirk, Spock 2, and Scotty feel the effects of the tachyon shields firsthand when they beam down to contact and liberate the Organians from the Klingon weapon. The three have a hard time staying in contact with each other as the field forces each to relive a swirl of surreal images from their own dreams and past. Kirk is steadied by Spock, but it becomes clear, even though in the barrage of images, that it's Spock 1 who has plans of his own. Spock 2 becomes aware of this, and in the process of rescuing Kirk, dispatches Spock 1. Scotty creates a dampening effect to eliminate the tachyon field and frees Organia, which causes the Klingon forces to cease their advancement. And with their deed known to the beings of Organia, Aelborn, Claymore, and Strafane, they pass a sentence which bans the Klingons from spaceflight for 1,000 years, thereby eliminating this from canon, which is a shame. Once again, Kirk and the Enterprise have saved the Federation from the Klingon Empire. The Enterprise to report for Starbase 16 for 2 weeks' worth of maintenance and repair. Given the time it'll take the Enterprise to reach Starbase 16, Kirk, Spock, and McCoy once again reflect upon the question whether or not who was transported is still the same person when reconstructed, or whether the original has ceased and been replaced with a replicate. Do we have an immortal soul? Spock quickly dismisses the question, and the book ends. So that was Spock Must Die, a thoroughly enjoyable book with a great, but sometimes confusing story. Whew. Okay, first things first. Take this thing off. And let's go listen to you. One day more, another day, another destiny. Ha ha ha.